much. Appreciate that. There are no announcements and spotlights. Are there any board committee reports? I'm looking to my left.
We'll be talking during the discussion agenda.
Okay, thank you.
No.
To my right?
We did have a education support committee meeting, and we were briefed on the Dean project by Liz Villa-Gossman from the city on their preliminary plans for Dean Park and how that would work with our school, with the Dean, whenever we eventually do build it, and how it would fit in and how the park would be around the school and how they would work together. So,
Thank you very
thank
much,
you.
sir. Appreciate that. Next, board member comments. I'm going to start with Ms. Seberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very few comments tonight. I just want to wish everyone a happy summer. School board business goes on through the summer. We have our regular meetings and we have lots of other meetings. So we'll continue on and hope everybody's having a good break, the students anyway. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. O'Hanlon.
Same thing, not many comments, just hope everyone has a great summer, enjoy, take time and read to your kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, I have no comments.
Mr. DeMaria.
It is summertime, there's not a lot going on, it seems, but there's always something going on at the schools. I mean, there's camps and there's workouts and there's summer school. It's very impressive how much the school system is a year-round situation of good things happening. And you drive by the high school, for example, and there's kids working on this or that and the other thing. It's very impressive how we keep our kids involved all year round. So it's nice to know that everything just doesn't stop at the end of the school year. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Albrecht.
Echo what Mr. DeMaria just said. Happy summer to everybody, and while you can't even say the students aren't in session because, as Tim just said, there's lots of stuff going on. The business of the city, the education of children continues. It's a year-round endeavor. I do want to also add to the committee report Mr. DeMaria talked about is fantastic presentation by city staff. I think the biggest challenge we mutually have is trying to figure out how to pay for it. They have a fantastic vision for what it could be. They've listened to everything we said going back a year, 18 months ago, for how to better integrate the school into it, how to address some of our concerns. The overwhelming majority of our issues have been addressed. It's just, how do you pay for it? Just like we have a problem with how do we pay for a dean, they've got the same problem with how do you pay for a park.
Thank you. Great point. Thank you. Mrs. Kiefer.
Thank you. I'll be quick as well. I just wanted to congratulate central office, the staff, all the building leaders, the students for a successful year. And I just wanted to say to Dr. Newman, congratulations on your first year with us. You've been a great partner and will continue to be. And we're just very happy to have you and your staff and team, and can't wait to another good year. It's good to see our alum in the audience there. And I just wanted to wish everyone a happy summer. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have any comments, so I will move on to citizens' comments. At this time, we welcome citizens who wish to speak about services, policies, and affairs of the City of Manassas Public Schools. Because we have an agenda we need to complete, we ask that comments be limited to 3 minutes. We appreciate the time you have taken to be here. We treat citizen comments as a public hearing, and we do not engage in conversation with speakers. The lack of an immediate response to your comments should not be taken as a lack of interest or concern. Please be respectful when presenting your comments. And I have the comment sign-up sheet, and I have Ms. Crystal Levine signed up. So please approach the podium and please state your name and I guess your address as well.
I'm Crystal Levine, and I'm a parent at Hayden Elementary School. Is that good enough?
Yeah, that
okay.
Works. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, please read it.
Okay. I'm here tonight actually representing Hayden Elementary School PTA. We recently learned that as Hayden staff is currently devising the schedule students will follow next school year, they are considering changes which would, if enacted, reduce the amount of recess students receive each day, and the number of physical education classes some students receive each rotation of specials classes. As a result, we voted to adopt a position statement on the issue to let Hayden administrators, and now all of you, know our stance on the potential changes. It reads, quote, "The R.C. Hayden Elementary PTA strongly encourages Hayden Elementary and its administrators to provide all students 2 20-minute recess breaks each day. This recommendation does not constitute a new procedure, but aims to continue a previous practice into the 2019-20 school year and beyond. Recess, as defined by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is, quote, regularly scheduled periods within the elementary school day for unstructured physical activity and play. As such, brain breaks, such as those utilized through GoNoodle.com, while important, do not replace the need for unstructured physical activity and play. We also strongly encourage Hayden and its administrators to ensure all students receive physical education once per week." That's the end of the statement. A few years ago, previous Hayden leadership worked hard to arrange the school day to ensure every student received 2 20-minute recesses each day. The decision was based on research indicating that children perform better academically as well as have better social and emotional development with more opportunities for unstructured play. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, recess should be, this is a quote, "should be scheduled at regular intervals, providing children sufficient time to regain their focus before instruction continues," end quote. They also note that, quote, "time previously dedicated to daily activity in school, such as physical education and recess, is being reallocated to make way for additional academic instruction. Ironically, minimizing or eliminating recess may be counterproductive to academic achievement, as a growing body of evidence suggests that recess promotes not only physical health and social development, but also cognitive performance," end quote. Last year, the state of Virginia voted to allow recess to be counted as instructional time, with bill sponsors citing unstructured play providing social and emotional growth, as well as a healthy energy outlet as benefits of the bill. Other local school systems have also moved in the last year to require more recess. Last year, Prince William County School Board doubled the daily recess. Loudoun County voted to require 40 minutes per day for kindergartners and 30 for other elementary schools. Fairfax County also updated their recess policy to require additional minutes that may be broken into 2 segments during the day. We were ahead of the game in this department. The 2 20-minute recess arrangement is actually the ideal sought after by organizers of such groups as morerecessforvirginians.org. Moving back from that arrangement is a step backward, as research is moving us in the direction of more recess, not less. I'm here to ask you to encourage our elementary schools to listen to parent input and protect recess by making research-backed decisions when determining student schedules. I'm also encouraging you to follow the lead of local school districts and adopt research-driven policies that outline specific direction to our schools related to the duration, frequency, and importance of recess and physical activity. To aid in this undertaking, I'll be emailing each of you links to research on the topic as well as a copy of my comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens who'd like to make comments this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
Motion by Mr. O'Hanlon, second by Mrs. Kiefer, that the School Board of the City of Manassas approve the consent agenda as modified.
I think Tim and I might have the same question.
Yes.
Discussion. You go ahead.
I think item 4B needs to be pulled out separately, and it's a public thing as opposed, so it's not just buried in the consent agenda.
I lost what that is. So.
The
Special ed.
modified?
Yes.
Special ed.
You got it as item 2. So, yeah, I was looking at it here as,
Yeah. He wants to pull out superintendent's contract.
I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have to be a public vote on that?
I think this is.
Okay, good enough.
Consent agenda is a public
Okay.
vote. It's all on the
Okay,
agenda.
fair enough.
Okay.
So,
I'm good with the way it is then. I just wanted to make sure we were all,
okay.
But I'm not. So mine was a different situation that I wanted to discuss.
Okay.
On personnel, yeah, you can ask me real quick. Just 1 second.
Okay.
I should continue. Personnel PERS 1819-1552 should, their assignment should read teacher. If that would be okay with the
The maker of the motion to modify it. Mr. O'Hanlon, are you okay?
Yes,
Did you second? Who seconded it? I don't know who seconded it.
Mr. Kiefer, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get with that. One other thing, too.
Yes, sir.
PERS 1819-1541 is being on the consent agenda as a fifth grade teacher at Mayfield. She needs to be acknowledged. She started as a kindergarten with us and came all the way through our district. She sat up here for us as our first school board liaison, one of the first two. She finished her school in 4 years and has come back to us to teach fifth grade for us. This is what we're looking for. I told the superintendent I was going to embarrass you, but I really can't. This is the best I can do. I am thrilled that you're coming back to us. It touches my heart. And Anna, welcome home. Thank you for coming back to us. That's it, sir. I didn't want to use your last name until we were done voting.
Yeah. You want to give a speech, or? Yes.
I am ecstatic to trade my black and yellow for yellow and black.
Sounds good. All right, so to the...
I know what you meant.
To the consent agenda, we have a motion by Mr. O'Hanlon, second by Ms. Kiefer, as modified with the two provisos that Mr. DeMaria made. So all in favor of the motion, the modified motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the ayes have it 7-0, and the consent agenda is passed. And welcome Mrs. Ball to our community as a teacher. Next up, the discussion agenda, and the first item is student achievement. Ms. Katie Keegan, Professional Development Program Annual Report.
Good evening, Chairman Williams, Vice Chairwoman Kiefer, members of the board, Dr. Newman. I'm happy to be here to provide an annual update on professional development in Manassas City. We had a great year of learning, and I'm happy to share some highlights as well as some updates with all of you. The vision and mission of professional development is directly connected to the instructional mission and vision of Manassas City. The main focus of professional development is to empower lifelong learners. We strive to provide learning opportunities for all professionals within the division that are aligned to their needs. During my update last June, I shared these 3 goals with you. These goals drove the work of professional development this year and will continue to do so in the upcoming years. The focus for this year was on establishing PD pathways with aligned resources and learning opportunities provided in each pathway. Over the next few years, the goal is to continue to add additional aligned resources and learning opportunities within each pathway that will include internal professional development and learning opportunities outside of the division. Ultimately, we would like for teachers to be able to set personal professional development goals and work within a particular pathway at their own pace. PD pathways were established using the results from the Professional Development Needs Assessment as well as division goals and school focus areas. I worked with the instructional team members at Central Office, external consultants, and principals and leadership teams at each school to identify focus areas and plan engaging professional development opportunities within each pathway. This year we transitioned to a new professional learning management system which allows us to align division PD activity to specific pathways, and it also enables staff to track their own professional development both within and outside of the division. This criteria was adapted from the Every Student Succeeds Act and was developed with the input from instructional and support staff members. This criteria is used when planning professional development opportunities targeted to meet the needs of individual groups. I would now like to share some highlights and updates for each PD pathway. For project-based learning, This was an exciting year for PBL training in Manassas City. We just completed our third series of summer trainings and now have over 400 teachers trained in the introductory course of PBL 101. The PBL leadership teams at each school finished the leadership series this year through PBL Works by participating in a learning walk where they traveled to each other's schools to celebrate successes and leverage meaningful feedback about challenges. The culminating activity was a learning fair where each leadership team highlighted their PBL journey so far, shared successes, and received feedback from other teams on their identified areas for the future. Effective planning for all learners. We just wrapped up year 6 of implementing a common framework for instructional planning and delivery. The goal this year was to build capacity by developing more instructional leaders throughout the division. This allows for targeted support to be available at each school. We also had a teacher or coach certified at each school as a vocabulary trainer. These trainers will provide vocabulary training to each school staff in August. Learning Focus also requested several staff members to present at their national conference due to the successes that they had experienced with implementing the instructional framework. The central office instructional team strive to provide ongoing learning opportunities for staff throughout the year. You can see some of these opportunities highlighted in Twitter posts by our 4 content specialists. Teachers attended conferences and professional development after school, reflected on their current practices to propel their professional growth, dug deeper into math workshop, and received hands-on learning experiences through different partnerships, including one with George Mason University. And these are just a few examples. For blended and personalized learning, this year we had over 70 teachers, coaches, and instructional technology training specialists engaged in personalized coaching through our partnership with Better Lesson. This coaching opportunity enabled participants to set their own learning goals and receive strategies and feedback through virtual coaching sessions every other week to help them achieve their goals. All teachers throughout the division received some level of Schoology training, and there were several learning communities set up in Schoology so that teachers across schools and the division could collaborate and learn from one another. Teachers were trained in how to incorporate various technology tools, such as Nearpod, into their daily instruction. Developing a culture of excellence was one of the focus areas this year. Our convocation keynote speaker, Jimmy Casas, kicked off the school year with the message of being a champion for students, expecting excellence, carrying the banner, and being a merchant of hope. This message continued throughout the year as principals engaged in coaching with Mr. Casas and his team members around these 4 principles. In addition, principals continued to work with their staffs around the concepts in the book Culturize. Great leaders throughout our schools help cultures of excellence thrive. We had 11 aspiring leaders complete the program this year with the goal of expanding their leadership skills. The aspiring leaders explored different types of leadership, discovered their strengths, established a personal mission statement, and learned more about transitioning from a peer to a leader. Staff were offered training for technology support in the examples listed here. These workshops were planned based on the results from the Professional Development Needs Assessment administered last spring and other needs that were identified throughout the year. The instructional technology training specialists also held open time for all staff at their buildings where they could come and ask questions or get additional support in a variety of areas. For student and family engagement, staff throughout the division engaged in professional development focused on student and family engagement. You can see here pre-K teachers learning different strategies to better meet the needs of all their learners. Assistant principals participated in a book study of The Behavior Code by Jessica Minahan, which culminated in a workshop with the author last week, where all school leaders learned strategies to support all students. Each year, a professional development needs assessment is sent out to the entire staff. This year, we had 469 responses, which included staff from 4 major groups: administrators, instructional staff, student services, and support staff. The data from the needs assessment was broken down by school, department, and group, and then shared with leaders throughout the division. This data plays an active role in the planning process for the 1920 school year. We are currently in the planning process, and I'm working with each principal to develop a professional development plan that meets their school's needs. Some of the planned focus areas for next year include scaffolding and assessing student learning for project-based learning, vocabulary instruction, content-specific professional development with focused grade levels, classroom management, and additional Schoology training. I would also like to take a few minutes to highlight our Teacher Education and Mentor Program team, as it offers professional development to our new educators in Manassas City. I am honored to serve as the coordinator for this program, and I'm proud of the impact that it is making on so many of our new teachers. The TEAM program strives to develop and support the growth of teachers new to the profession or to Manassas City Public Schools. The mission of this program is for new teachers to become a part of our community and to receive the guidance that they need to ensure that they have a successful start to their career here in Manassas. The TEAM program provides targeted support to over 150 teachers throughout the division. New teachers, whether new to the profession or new to Manassas City, receive the support of a mentor and a building lead mentor that prepares and facilitates professional development each month that supports their needs. The goal of the first year of the TEAM program is to lay the foundation by focusing on classroom management, building positive relationships with students and families, time management, and communication strategies. Thanks to a grant we received from the Apple Federal Credit Union Foundation, we were excited to have the author of Conscious Classroom Management, Mr. Rick Smith, join us in August for a workshop with our new teachers. We also added in DISC assessments for mentors and mentees to gain a deeper understanding of each other's personalities, communication styles, and priorities. Once teachers have a strong foundation, we strive to build a solid framework by looking closer at instructional planning and delivery in year 2. This year, workshops focused on rubrics, assessment and data analysis, and leveraging feedback for professional growth. The last phase of the TEAM program has teachers exploring different leadership pathways and ways that they can make their mark on MCPS. They are able to choose from a variety of workshops that let them identify different areas of interest and reflect on how they could spread their talents and expertise throughout the school division. Mentors also received ongoing professional development throughout the year. These workshops were developed to help mentors better understand the different functions of mentoring, how to provide non-evaluative feedback, and how to engage in goal setting with their mentee. Through this work, mentors are better able to establish and maintain positive climates and productive atmospheres within their relationships with their mentees. I thank you for your time and for your continued support of professional development in Manassas City. We are very excited for another year of empowering lifelong learners.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions? Mr. Albrecht?
It was great to see blended learning. I mean, we're embracing and demonstrating the stuff we talk about, which is fantastic. You said more than 400 teachers were trained. Were those full-time teachers, or does that include subs?
Yes, so that is our certified, our full-time teachers who are trained, yes.
And is there something similar that we're doing for other career paths, whether it's bus drivers or IAs or subs or whatever? Because tonight you pretty much focused on, you know, teachers themselves. But
yes, so the goal is to provide professional development in all of the pathways for both instructional and support staff. The trainings this year, a lot of for support staff was around the technology support, and we're actually looking to grow, in particular in the conversational Spanish was a high area of need for our support staff, and so that is something that we're looking to focus on for next year.
Thanks.
Any comments?
Good presentation, thank you.
Ms. Wood? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, let's get to one comment, going back to our discussion last
Yeah.
week. Ms. Keegan's report really demonstrates why, when she said personalized development for each school, why we can't have a generic one-size-fits-all anything.
Right. Good point. Well, thank you again for that great presentation. Next on the discussion agenda is policies, and I will turn it over to Mrs. Kiefer.
Thank you. The Policy Committee met on June 13th, along with many staff members who enjoyed their evening with us. We actually reviewed every year. The Virginia School Board Association, or every couple months, I guess, reviews various policies and makes recommendations. At that point in time, what we do, I should say the staff really does, is reviews them and meets with the Policy Committee members to go over any revisions, anything we might want to modify from the ones that are proposed. or just general, look at anything that hadn't been revised. At our last meeting, we reviewed 64 policies, so I thought we'd go over all of them word for word tonight for Mr. Demaria. And really, they're available to look at. Nothing was really updated other than legal references, policy reference changes, cross-referencing, and things that we need to do. Perhaps some regulations that need to be formulated by our superintendent to back up the policies. Other than that, it related to 9 different sections of our policies. And if there were any questions, I just thought we could have some discussion tonight. Other than that, there were no substantive changes.
I'd suggest there's one substantive one we've all got to be aware of, and that is the requirement for all of us, each one of us sitting at this dais, to take conflict of interest training in accordance with the new law, which our policy is setting. So let's make sure we all don't forget.
That's right.
Ms. Garza, remind us.
Yeah, someone better remind me.
She'll remind us. Thank you. Any other from the policy
Mr. Demaria
committee?
is dying to say something.
No, I'm not going to say nothing, and I don't want to get yelled at. So, the training that we have to do, is that going to be available at Williamsburg?
I believe so. The SBA is looking to see what they can do to offer it as a classroom course at one of the conferences. They're also working with the Conflict of Interest Council or whatever it's called, to see what they can do as far as developing online presentation. The General Assembly said they have to do it. They haven't done anything yet. And people are taking office here in a couple of days on 1 July.
Yeah. It's a good thing we don't have any conflict of interest.
Any other comments or questions? All right, well, believe it or not, our agenda is done for the open part. But before I end, Councilwoman Davis Younger, thank you again for being here, the staff for being here tonight. I know you'd rather be home probably, so we'll let you get out of here soon.
I doubt it.
And Mrs. Spall, thank you for being here, since you're our only audience members of Ms. Levine, who's here as well, a couple of parents and a new teacher, so thank you for being here. All right, may I have a motion for closed session?
Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the City of Manassas enter closed session pursuant to exemption from open meetings allowed by Section 2.2, 3711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia, 1950, as amended for the following purposes. Part A, Paragraph 1, discussion of personnel matters, PERS 1819-1550, 1551, and 1566.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. O'Hanlon, that the school board of the City of Manassas enter a closed session pursuant to exemption from open meetings allowed by Section 2.2-3711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 is amended for the following purposes. Part A, Paragraph 1, discussion of personnel matters, PERS 1819-1550, -1551, and -1566. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it 7-0, and we will enter closed session.